another episode of the Field Chatter Podcast. My name is Tyler. Joining me is Eric Henderson. What up, Eric?
What up? What up, world?
We're getting down to the final month and some change of the baseball season. A lot of things going on, and I think it's we got a cool episode planned for today, though.
Yeah, it's go time. It's September, baby.
You
got 1 month to figure it out.
Yeah, I saw in quick news. I saw Andrew McCutchen out for the rest of the season for the Pirates. So,
breaking news! What happened?
I know. He had a partial Achilles tear the other night. So he's on the 10-day injured
list. That's what took out Kobe Bryant.
Well, Andrew McCutchen and Kobe, are they on the same playing field? I'll let the listeners decide that one, I suppose.
You got to go with the chips on that one.
I guess that, yeah. Well, yeah. Anyway, so today, our is about injury. It's a little more specialized. I'm excited to do this kind of an episode. I like when we pick a topic, but today, since it's been in the news, probably for the biggest offseason news that we'll have for baseball, is Tommy John surgery and Shohei Ohtani. We're gonna weave these two things in together to talk about it.
Yep, it's the Shohei Ohtani John special.
I really do love that so much.
I am surprised that hasn't been used by any of the actual Major League Baseball writers. That one's pretty easy, you ask me.
Yeah, we'll Google this after we get done recording, but I'm pretty sure we're gonna stake the trademark on that one for sure.
Yeah, and I'm for hire out there, writers.
You're willing to scab for pun-based injury. I
don't think the Screen Actors Guild has anything to do with baseball writing, so I'll be all right.
Oh, yeah, that's fair. Journalism, Eric.
Different union, I think. Got nothing to do with Hollywood, baby.
Fair enough. I think you're probably right. All right. Well, let's get into it. Tommy John surgery. What'd you learn? What do you know?
Tommy John surgery, very commonly known, in pitchers these days when they throw their elbow out. But Tommy John was a guy who played in the 60s, was when his career started. He pitched for the Dodgers. His full name was Thomas Edward John Jr. Say that 5 times. Old Tommy Ed John Jr. But he was a pitcher. He wasn't like stellar. He during his career before his injury, but he did make the All-Star game one season. He did pitch for the Dodgers. He was a pretty good pitcher. He had a below average ERA every season, he said. And he pitched for a couple years up until he pretty much threw his arm out, and he was like kind of the first guy to do this. So they didn't really know what was wrong with him. All he knew is that like one day he felt something snap, and he felt a pain and a tingling sensation he'd never felt before, and like his elbow was like all out of whack. He couldn't had no structure left. But what he was originally,
real quick, I've only had a few like injuries from like sports and the other, and I couldn't imagine all of a sudden your arm is just like, my arm doesn't feel like my arm is supposed to.
No.
Especially being a professional athlete where you like take such like care and like inventory of how your body is feeling. To have a completely new feeling you've never had has got to be like one of the scariest things probably in his life.
Especially for a pitcher, because that's your moneymaker right
there.
That is your arm. But really what really happens with these injuries is that it'll just snap. Mm-hmm. Like there's a tendon. Essentially what happens is, I'll try to get it here. There's two cross tendons that form like an X that keep your elbow in shape and let it bend and move. And so one of them snaps is what can happen. The whole tendon can break, which sounds very painful, but it can happen in a moment, and you'll know right away that something's wrong. But initially, he was diagnosed. He had a doctor. His doctor's name was Dr. Frank Jobe, I think it's Jobe, Jobe.
We'll go with that.
His doctor had initially diagnosed him with overuse syndrome, which was his great take, doc. You don't say.
Hey, I thought of the most vague diagnosis.
Yeah.
There
Hey,
you
hey, doc.
go.
Hey, doc. My arm hurts. Well, have you been overusing it? Yeah, I'd say so. I'm a Major League Baseball pitcher. Well, you've got what we commonly call in the field overuse syndrome. It's usually found in teenage boys, but here you are, a grown man with it. But he told him to ice his arm for a few days. That was what he was told to do.
That reminds me of the like Rube Waddell quote that he used to put his like whole arm in a bucket of ice water because he was worried it would catch on fire from
Yeah.
throwing so
Yeah,
fast.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You got the you got too much heat, boss. You gotta have to cool ice that thing for a little while. But
Uh-oh, I am living in a cartoon, so I gotta be
yeah,
worried.
but yeah, I mean the medicine in the '60s was different, I'd say. Well, I guess this was '74 by the time this happened. This was the 1974 season. But after icing it didn't work, clearly, they decided to perform a surgery, and so they were still kind of making this up, but they decided that it was the Tommy John is the UCL ligament in your the UCL in your elbow. The ulnar collateral ligament is the official name of this ligament in your arm. And so the doctor, Dr. Frank Joby, cut him open and was prepared to do surgery to reattach this ligament in Tommy John. And he learned while the operation was going on that the ligament did not exist anymore in this man. And so he improvised, as you would as a doctor in the 70s, and he pulled another ligament from his wrist and used that as a graft in order to fuse it all together, Frankenstein style, to repair this man's elbow. And so kind of this whole procedure was made up because it had never been done in an elbow before to use a graft of another tendon to repair a broken tendon, but it had been done in wrists and different parts of the arm, I think, before. So he was like, I got an idea.
I
This
love
this
that
should
he just
work.
cuts him open. And he's like, "Well, let's just keep cutting and moving stuff around."
Right. He cuts him up and he's like, oh, that's bad. There's nothing. And then he's like, well, we could pull a little something from over here and add a little bit of super glue to this and then tighten him right on up. He's good. 1970s, we still got leaded gasoline at this point, I think. Um
I think they were unsure on smoking at this point. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah, the doctor was actually smoking while he was doing this procedure. He
Like,
was very,
I
very
got a great
complicated.
idea.
Yeah, yeah,
Why don't we
yeah.
just fucking keep
Put a
going
little bit
down
of
his
that. Why don't we
arm?
ash a little bit of that in there? That'll probably help. And so that's what happened. And so the surgery was a huge success. They didn't really know how to rehab this situation, and so they just kind of took it from there. Ice was clearly involved. That's his go-to move. Uh, but after an off season and through the spring training, he was able to throw the baseball 60 feet, which before his surgery and after his injury, he could not throw the ball from the mound to home plate. He did not have I don't know why he was still trying, but he couldn't even throw the ball from home plate to the mound after his ligament had been torn.
He looked
And
like one of
so,
those celebrity first pitch of the games where they just like it just
right.
trickles in. It's like
Yeah,
Sister Jean out there.
yeah, I was gonna say what's the name of the 104-year-old lady or whatever? Yeah. Or 50 Cent's famous pitch.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so then he did rehab. They essentially just took it easy because there was no time frame. But eventually he ended up coming back in full form. He ended up being the number 2 in Cy Young voting in 1977, just a couple of years after his surgery. So but the whole thing was kind of made up on the fly, it sounds like. And
Mm-hmm.
now it's a very common surgery that you can get. People know right away what happens. It is, overuse, obviously, but they're no longer wondering why and what. And this procedure is pretty common, but it is pretty rare to come back from 2 of these. And so that's where the Shohei Ohtani situation comes from. Because, like, for instance, Jacob DeGrom got it in 2010, long before he was known as a household name. He got his Tommy John surgery. Steven Strasburg, similar situation. He had to get it. I think it was 8 games into his rookie season. He had to get shut down, and then he went on to clearly win the World Series. And so, essentially, if you can get ahead of it, it's not a career-ending injury anymore. But at one point it was, because your arm essentially fell off and the doctor told you to put ice on it, and that was
Yeah.
it for you.
They're like, we think we have some staples in the back that could put this thing back together, but we're not very sure.
Right. It's like our bone welder's on break right now, so we really can't help you out, sir.
Yeah.
But
Well,
uh, but
okay.
yeah, so it sounds made up the whole time, but it worked out for everybody. And then players would flock to this Dr. Frank Joby guy. So his reputation was turned completely around from being the overuse fella to being a hero in the medical field. And so people would flock to him. And so I also learned that this graft can come from different locations in the body that they use, including the forearm, different place in the forearm. They can also
Mhm.
pull it from your hamstring or from your big toe. So I don't know how they learned this, Modern science it's more like magic to me. But imagine walking around with a tendon of your toe in your elbow.
Yeah, skin grafts are weird. All these kind of grafts, they just pull stuff from you and just stick it on other parts of your body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Awesome. All right.
but
Well,
that's the story of old Thomas Edward John Jr.
and Jingleheimer Schmidt.
Yeah, I thought of that too.
So we'll cut to where our hero is, Shohei Ohtani and his situation with it. I'm gonna give like the shortest of backstory, but in 2007, that was Otani's last year playing in Japan for the Ham Fighters. There's a longer name, but I just
Ooh.
think shortening to the part where it just says Ham Fighters is
Yeah.
probably my favorite. I love Japanese mascot. Go on your own time, go look it up. They're the most fun. The basketball team names are the best.
I
So
have a picture of the Ham Fighters logo in my head is two strips of bacon boxing each other. That's what I think.
I got a pig in like a Flying Aces style like fighter plane, so that's
Okay,
where I
like
went
the
with
like
it.
the like the Red Baron. All right.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
after 2017, he ended up signing with the Los Angeles Angels on December 8th, 2017.
Which is a very boring name when you really think about it.
Yeah. But on December 13th, so just a few days later, Otani was diagnosed with the first degree UCL sprain in his right elbow. Now, I don't know if you looked this up or saw in your research, but there's 3 grades for a UCL injury. 1 is stretched but not torn. Grade 2 is the ligament is stretched but might be partially torn. And grade 3, you torn. Uh,
Yeah.
so he had a first degree UCL sprain, and they decided as one of the alternative treatments is a platelet-rich plasma injection. This is a pretty common thing as I was reading it, and basically what happens is they take a small amount of your blood, a small amount of your blood is withdrawn, and your platelets are separated from other blood components. The platelets are injected into the area of your injury, and the injection may be helpful for a partial UCL tear.
Okay.
So
So it's kind of like a mini fusion, it sounds
yeah,
like.
it's 2 months after the procedure. It says you should be able to resume sports activity. I saw that this was done for not only baseball players, but a lot of NFL players as well have done platelet plasma injections.
Okay.
So, as you mentioned, UCL sprains come from repeated stress from overhead movements. So, obviously, if you're a pitcher or you're just throwing the ball in general, it's the same thing over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
One article I read did say that some of the additional injuries they're seeing for this kind of have to do a lot with like the modern training that they're doing. So a lot of baseball players nowadays are using like medicine ball training to like,
Mm-hmm.
and football players too. And I think the article didn't want to specifically put that this was the correlation, but it was like, I'm not surprised because this is what so many people are doing to train, right? So when they signed Otani, they said he had a first degree sprain. Quote, one team official said it didn't change the equation. Worst case scenario, if he loses 2 years, even if you wind up paying $60 million for 4, he's still a bargain. So, and that's all about the like signing him over from the Japanese league and all the different money arrangements, which I didn't really feel like getting into because I feel like it's been covered a bunch of times. Back then they also were like hesitant on him pitching and hitting. I didn't know that he signed with the Angels because they were one of the really the only team that was like, yeah, you can be a two-way player.
Oh.
Yeah, I think it was the Dodgers were the other team that told him they were only going to have him hit. So,
Okay.
cut to October of 2018, almost a year after, June 6th, he did get a grade 2 sprain. They did the platelet plasma thing again. And then, like, as soon as he came back from that injury, like his second game back, he hit 2 home runs against Cleveland for his first 2 home run game of his career.
All
So
right, so the juice works in a
yeah,
different aspect. I
so
mean, that's a different.
he's had success with the platelet injections. But then in September 3rd of 2018, I got the last year wrong. It was October of 17. But in September 3rd, 2018, Angels manager Billy Epler announced that Shohei Ohtani underwent Tommy John surgery. The procedure is performed in Los Angeles, and then in November of that year, he won the AL Rookie of the Year anyway. So the same year that he won AL, he then was like getting Tommy John surgery. He came back in 2019, just started hitting. He came back in DH, and after that year, he became the first Japanese-born player to hit for the cycle in Major League history. But at the end of 2019, he had to end the year with a knee surgery. So I didn't realize how many injuries Shohei Ohtani had
Yeah.
compared to that. So he had knee surgery, and then cut to 2020. He's back playing. I thought this was kind of interesting. Shohei Ohtani in the 2020 season was the first ever automatic player on second base to start a 10th inning with the new
Okay.
rules.
Okay.
He was thrown out in like a pickle and like a rundown,
Yeah.
but that was I just thought that was a cool fact. But
Right.
he
More
didn't hit.
history. More history for your boy.
Yeah, he just keep tallying, put my name here, put my name there. He didn't pitch for the rest of 2020, but in that offseason, he notes that he went off to do a lot of work on himself, both with like data, statistics, strengthening himself. He bulked up to like 225 pounds. He went to blanking on the university, but this like place that helps pitchers kind of develop more of their spin and like help them with their pitching. So that was a big thing for him in the offseason of 2020. I also didn't know there was an Ohtani rule. I don't know if you knew about this rule after him, but the rule allows that a pitcher to be assigned to be the designated hitter spot in the batting order, and they can remain as the designated hitter even if they're replaced on the mound by another pitcher. Did
Okay.
not
I
know
am
that.
familiar with the Otani rule. I've heard that before, but I didn't know that's what it was.
Yeah, they literally came out with it for him is what I read, but I know I could be wrong.
They always be changing the game when something new happens.
True. So he did his first start as a pitcher in 2021. So had knee surgery in 2020, had Tommy John in 2018, started pitching again in 2021. He threw for 4 and 2/3 inning. He allowed 1 earned run, 1 earned run and 2 unearned. He also struck out 7 batters, and then he himself went 1 for 3 with a home run.
Pretty
So
good day.
yeah, pretty good day. So I guess what I'm trying to paint there is like he's had it, he's worked himself back. Cut to now, he's currently shut down from pitching due to a partial tear in his ulnar collateral ligament, his UCL, like we talked about. Last Monday or this Monday, Ohtani's agent said it's inevitable. The two-way star will have some kind of procedure on his elbow. It's the best case scenario is that Bello added the injury is the best case scenario because the Tommy John surgery is intact and that his tear now is actually in a different location. According to multiple sources from the article I pulled, who spoke on the condition of anonymity, whatever that means. The most likely outcome is he's to receive a new hybrid procedure that involves both an elbow ligament reconstruction and an internal brace. So for a pitcher, the recovery generally is 14 to 16 months, but Ohtani could return as a hitter in 6 months. So this new procedure, I'm almost done. Bookended, it's called an internal brace. It's an alternative to Tommy John's surgery. It's when the tear is located close to the bone. The internal brace procedure is much less invasive than Tommy John surgery and comes with a shorter rehab.
Okay.
It's still
That sounded way worse to me.
Oh yeah.
Like they build you a little tiny bridge in your elbow.
And the article talking about this wanted to make sure it was clear, and I'll also clarify. It's unknown if they are going to have the internal brace or a different procedure. They've been very like secretive about the injury. Like from what I watched of an interview this morning, they the team isn't really too hands-on with his injury. Everything is like going through his agent, which I thought was very interesting. Like the team really has no say or like control over the moving forwards of it. He got shut down because of an abdominal injury right now, so he's also additionally not playing for, or he's not batting right now because of that.
Okay. I
Um,
could see at this point the agent kind of handling things because he's not going to be technically employed by the Angels for very much longer.
right,
So
right,
that is a
yeah.
unique timing. Like if he were to have to wait until the off season to get this procedure or something done, would the Angels be on the hook for providing it to him with their staff? Because he's not a.
I doubt it because the
Because
Dodgers
yeah.
team guy is normally the one who does these surgeries now.
Oh,
As
just in general.
yeah, the Dodgers doctor whose name was somewhere on here is the person that did it last time actually.
Okay.
Or maybe he's just in Los Angeles. Oh yeah, the Angels are also in LA. That was the dumbest thing I've said on this podcast to date. I would like to have it noted that was so dumb. I'm
It's okay. It's pretty
Thanks, buddy.
confusing. It can be confusing to mix up the Los Angeles Dodgers with the Los Angeles Angels. It
And
could
there's a
happen to
Chargers, there's
anybody.
Rams. They got too many teams in LA. So the agent's comments are basically what people have come to the conclusion of is he probably won't pitch next year. If he has Tommy John surgery, he'll probably completely eliminate it. But if he has all these other kind of
The
the
injection.
hybrid ones or whatever, depending on how serious it is, it just doesn't
This
seem very likely that next year is the year he is going to pitch. It just kind of it. So at 29, he'll be going into his next season as a free agent. Oh, I was gonna add this. You kind of started it, but there have been other pitchers with Tommy John. You mentioned Jacob DeGrom. Um, one person I'm surprised you didn't mention was Jameson Taillon
Mm-hmm.
from the Cubs right now. He
Yeah.
actually had two Tommy Johns. Here's two little stat things. Tommy John surgery done a second time may have a 50% success rate. Now the success rate improving is close to 60 or 7. That was an article talking about how they're getting better and better at it. Obviously, we started this how they kind of freestyled it, so of course they got better at it.
Yeah.
Here's what Jameson Taillon said about it. My first one, my rehab was pretty tough. I never felt 100%. People would come up to me and ask, "Hey, dude, what should I expect after getting Tommy John?" And he would say, "To never feel good ever again."
Whoa. What a downer, man.
After his
Lie to me.
yeah, after his second one, it was just like a new arm. So again, like they're getting better at it. So that might, I don't. There's obviously a lot of complications. Where's the scar tissue and entering, how they have to graft it. There's a lot of complications with that. But I don't know. Which brings me to the fact that, like we said, he is an awesome player, 29 years old. Last Sunday, he became the 8th player in Major League Baseball history to record multiple seasons with 40 home runs and 20 stolen bases. Now he got this on a game where they lost to the Oakland A's. So
Oh.
not tough to celebrate the night. And it'll be interesting to see what happens with him next year. I know there's been speculation that people might use him as like a closer or more of a relief role to kind of take off a lot of the pressure of him playing. And according to USA Today's Bob Nightingale, which I wanted to make sure his name was in there because how many Nightingales do you meet? If offers from other teams stay under $500 million, the Angels actually like their chance of retaining Ohtani. So obviously there's a lot of like we talked about it like sporadically throughout the year. There's a lot of big name, big city teams looking to put some money down. But with all the injuries he's suffered and uncertainty of what his arm's going to look like, it might be tough to know what the exact number will be that he signs for in the following
Oh
season.
yeah. No, this really does have like kind of the timing of this has the biggest impact that I think I've seen in any player's potential free agency because you literally don't know what you're going to get out of this. And so it is kind of heartbreaking to watch it happen to somebody who was on such a track for such success. Uh and but he's still one valuable player. Like before he was injured, he was worth 2 players. And so now he's just your average one player, but he's still phenomenal. I mean, he hit 40 home runs before September even came around. So those kind of numbers are pretty crazy. I think he's still totally due his big fat paycheck. And so,
Yeah.
but this will be interesting. You could, this could be a situation where maybe he ends up in Cleveland and Terry Francona has him pitch 4 innings in the middle of a game every 5 days.
Eric, I got bad news for you. I do not think Terry's going to be returning next year.
Oh
So I
no.
think just saying those two things together makes me feel even less likely that it will be a possibility. Yeah.
Maybe Terry will get signed by the Angels, take the Joe Madden route,
I
and
think
then
Terry's gonna
him and
go
Ohtani.
retire and write a book or something.
Yeah.
Otani's still, and just to go back to Otani, he's still is second in the league for most home runs with 44 this season. Um, I think he's now out of total strikeouts. Yeah, he's not in the top 5 for strikeouts anymore, but there for a while. And I think we can grade on a curve a little bit with the fact that he is doing more than one position. So
Right. I mean, there were talks this season that if he continued what he was doing, they may have to change the MVP voting because you simply can't just have the same guy win every time because he's so special. But wouldn't care at this point if he gets both, MVP for both and the Cy Young. Wouldn't that be funny? Gets MVP and the Cy Young. That'd be great. I hope he really kicked the door open for two-way players and that you see more guys come up through the farm systems with this kind of attention on them that they could potentially be two-way players, because that's probably something that, I mean, shoot, if he hadn't come up in Japan, who knows if he'd even been able to develop both of these talents, because I could see any sort of system being a one-track minded thing and
well,
not
and
letting them be a two-way player.
yeah, not to go into like the big like argument about analytics and everything where like everyone's just running things through a computer and popping it out, but like, that's probably what like most of the statistics say is like don't make a player do more than one thing because we want them to be like extra good at just one thing. And if they,
Right.
this computer AI says it will not happen because two things do not be one. It's not body conditioner and body wash. So
Yeah, because if nothing else, I mean, if he never pitches again, he flipped the game on his head for a couple years, and you got to give him that at least. Like he's been incredible to watch. I tune in when he's pitching. That's the only time
yeah.
I'll ever watch an Angels game, except for last night. I watched some of it because they were playing the Orioles.
Yeah,
That
I
was
think,
besides the point.
and you think about the year started with the World Baseball Classic, him
Oh,
playing for
right,
his
yeah,
country, striking out Mike Trout to like win the game. Like that is how we started this baseball season
right.
with like the Ohtani train. You know what I mean? Like I don't obviously he's like one rookie of the year. He's always been like a top player, but I think more so than ever he's been like the face of the
Of
league.
oh yeah, no. If as long as like I'd say so too. I would totally agree with that. So as long as he can keep up one of the two talents he has, I think he's got. I mean, any team would want to sign him with a big check. So I could see him still getting a big money paycheck this offseason, but it will be interesting to see how it plays out. Plus, it kind of sounds like his agent or his agent's agency or whatever is being kind of hush hush about everything going on. But
Yeah, which makes sense, I suppose.
I feel like it'll play out.
Here's what I think would be hilarious. He gets signed somewhere next year, can't pitch, but he hits. I want to see him in one of those games where it's like a mercy rule, and they just are like, "Hey, why don't you go pitch to end the ninth? We'll just see how you do." And he's just like messing around a little bit, like switching between throwing like 60-mile-per-hour like pitches to like, okay, I'll put the heat on just for like one or two for fun.
Yeah,
That's what would be so fun to see.
that would be fun. I think that would be way too much of a liability, though.
Yeah.
Honestly, if he's not pitching, I could see them picking the third baseman or some shit. But
Yeah.
the Cubs were in the talking a couple weeks ago before all this went down. The Cubs were in the talks about getting him, so maybe he'll still hang out, be a big stick in Chicago
Hey,
because
who
they
knows?
could use one.
They're a cool team. Hey, they're up right now in the Giants, which isn't that impressive, but
Oh yeah, the game's happening right now. Yeah,
Yeah, I just heard.
they're about to sweep them.
I think I just heard
They
cheering
keep
because
that
something
going.
just happened.
Oh yeah, you
Uh,
live that close.
I do live
It's
that close.
it's every day is a playoff game for the Chicago Cubs at this
Hmm.
point. So
Yeah, like 20 games left during the season or something like that. So best
hmm
of luck to the Central Division. Last thing I'll say is we do get to make a breaking. Another team has been eliminated. See you
Oh
later,
yeah.
Kansas City Royals. You will not
Oh,
be in contention officially.
this may be the end of Zach Greinke's career this season. Maybe I'm told, but
Maybe.
I bet that guy sticks around. There's just been talks of him retiring after this year.
Yeah, he's a weirdo, but He's a necessary weirdo in the game.
Right. I feel like he'll pitch until he's like 50 if he can. That Eufus, he's got that sick Eufus pitch, He'll just rock that. Just rainbow everybody.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for listening to our special Shohei Ohtani Tommy John. What did you call it? You had such a better one.
Shohei Ohtani John edition.
Perfect. Yeah, thanks for checking it out, and have a great rest of your season. Until next time, see you later.
Yeah.